Welcome back to a new edition of Power Tips. Today we are going to dive into one of my favorite parts of the release notes, Power Automate. We're going to take a look at some of the features coming today and through the next few months. And I'm going to kick it off with all of the updates listed for cloud flows. There are some really interesting ones and really interesting in a different way one. So the first one that we have is a really simple update. It says, use a simplified OData editor in actions like get items and get files. Basically, all that's saying is we're continuing the trend of using natural language over code when you want. So this is going to give us a little bit more capability to do those OData filters without writing in code. This one goes straight to general availability of June. The second one, I don't understand at all. It says, create a flow on a file in Teams. Now, if you are a regular watcher of Power Tips, which I'm sure you are, you know that Kylie pointed out last week or last episode that some of these release notes are now written by AI, and it says that at the end. I believe this one was written by AI and perhaps did not have a human. Take a look at it. This is direct from the release notes. It says, create a flow on a file in Teams using one of the templates available to be done to a file. Does this mean that we have a new template? And if so, why is that release notes worthy, right? Like new templates just pop up. What are your guys' thoughts on this? What do you think this is about?
And where? And why is it a file in Teams? Is that different from other files? And is there a different flow within Teams than from just creating it from Power Automate?
And
Does that
also,
exist?
aren't files in Teams actually in SharePoint? Because they're a document library in the back end. I agree with you. This is confusing.
I'm also
Excellent
confused.
questions.
We need a screenshot.
There are none. This is all it says. So let's see what this one ends up being. It's slated for general availability very soon. So maybe we'll see who's right or what additional questions we have. Thank you for sharing in my confusion and little chuckle on this one. Okay, the third one is to generate process maps for multi-flow automations. So this one was supposed to be in public preview in March, but when I checked it yesterday, it still didn't have a checkbox saying that happened. But basically, this allows you to visualize all of your interconnected flows that will then help you streamline your troubleshooting and enhance operational efficiency. I think this is a great way to do this. Some flows can be really complicated, and when you're troubleshooting it, it can be hard, especially if you're not really sure how your flows kind of connect. If maybe you don't have great documentation like some people do, this could be a really interesting feature. But concerning that it's not in public preview yet, and it was supposed to be a month ago. But this one's coming soon. Then we have create and edit expressions with Copilot. This one has been in public preview since January. I went back and looked it up because I felt like it's been forever. So this will just be going to GA in May, which means I guess they perfected it as much as they can at this point, and they're ready to move it to the big time in Power Automate. The last update here in the wonderful world of cloud flows is update browse connectors pane in cloud flows. So allegedly, this is going to make it easier to find connectors as you're building your flows. I think it's a cool idea. I think it's buggy. I feel like I've seen it sometimes and I can't recreate it. So now I'm just wondering if I was dreaming about it. But GA for this is supposed to be April, but it's not here yet. So I'll pause and see what Kylie and Malcolm think about these updates in Cloudflare.
First of all, I hope that you're not dreaming about Power Automate, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if you were. But I think all of these sound interesting. I have a lot of questions on all of the process map stuff. I think I need to spend a lot more time there because it looks like we can bring a lot of value there, but I haven't seen a lot of it in production yet. So need to spend some time there.
Yeah, good point. Oh, sorry, Malcolm.
Oh,
no, I will add one more thing. No screenshots on any of these things.
Right. Yeah, I found that too. I like the creator edit expressions. Edit or exit? I think it's edit. Expressions
Huh,
using
typo.
natural language, but that's a huge one, right? For all the like the citizen developers, the non-developers, the people who just are not comfortable with some of the expression language, to be able to have a resource that doesn't cause them have to search the internet to find somebody else who did it and pause the video and copy exactly what they did. That's going to be super useful, I would think, anyways. Um, and then the connectors one, if only we had a resource out there somewhere in the interwebs that listed all the connect. Wait a minute. I think I know of one. We should probably put a link to it in the description.
Okay.
Just saying. So I took 3 from the desktop flows. I intentionally dug there, well, mostly because we kind of tried to split it up, but I'm also not very comfortable with the desktop flows. I don't play around with it very much. I have tried a few times. I find it a little overwhelming as somebody who's definitely not a hard dev or anything like that. And so what I think I'm pleased to see is that they're making things a little more accessible for people just like me. And so this was cool. Just I actually saw this yesterday in at the Toronto regional event that happened, and part of the opening keynote for Microsoft, he actually had a short snippet that showed this happening. And referred to this idea of desktop flows. You're recording it with Copilot, so they're talking through on screen what they're clicking through, and then this flow, very similar to the natural language structure of asking for what you want, and it builds but it's actually reviewing what you're seeing on screen and the mouse clicks and the inputs on the keyboard and all that stuff and your verbal descriptions, and then from all of that information translates it into here's what your automation should look like. So that to me is super cool. Sidebar, if you haven't noticed, since April 1st, there's also just in Teams recordings, Copilot is now looking at what it sees on screen, not just the transcript and what it's hearing, but also what it's seeing, which is really cool. So this to me aligns with that because this is kind of the same logic. So pretty fascinating. September, apparently it's been out there since September. I didn't even know that. But it's coming to in June for GA, which is exciting. Thoughts on that one, or do we move? We can move. This one's a super lame one, but it's also, in my opinion, wildly important. So a lot of organizations, well, I shouldn't say a lot. We certainly see some organizations moving to a place where they're trying to eliminate folder structure, especially in the cloud, because nested folders and folders and folders will get you into trouble in the long run, especially in storing files in Teams, aka SharePoint in the background. But either way, it's going to run into trouble. And so what organizations are starting to doing is lean on metadata and tagging to make sure that you can organize and categorize things. So they're bringing this capability to, it's in the desktop flows in section, but interestingly enough, it says at the bottom that the tags are going to be managed in Dataverse, therefore are applicable to any Power Platform asset, which I think is cool. So just tagging things to categorize them, organize them, help you streamline things without having to do other things or keep some separate document, being able to embed that right in there. I am curious to see how you'll be able to get to them and how you can filter and sort, but I assume there'll be columns of data that you can refer to. So those would be cool.
So that
Is it
means
ever
they're
concerning? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Pat.
so does that mean that's only available in environments with Dataverse, and also means you're going to pay for the storage of
Great question.
the tags?
Good question.
Should be
It
minimal,
doesn't
but
speak to that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and do you have a single Dataverse just to store tags? I feel like that's weird. So maybe. I don't know. We'll see what it comes when it hits preview in May. So no GA date on that one.
I was gonna ask, do you ever get worried when there's no GA date? It's like, I feel like most of those end up being like, let's see what people think, and if they like it, we'll build it out a little better. I wonder if this is like that.
Could be. Or
So if
hey,
you
we're
like
pin
this
on
in
inclusion. So
preview, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Sometimes they get canceled.
And then I think I had one more. Yes, use voice to interact with Copilot. So the voice command functionality dictate automation steps in real language. So this one's kind of cool. I just realized the image on this, I did not download it. It's a premium image, my bad. I do use Unsplash for imagery, so that's embarrassing, but my bad. The reason I wanted this one on here is what you see at the bottom, the second bullet point, streamlining the setup of complex workflows. So have you ever tried to explain something to somebody that's super clear in your head and the other person does one of these? Like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to communicate? So I have a hard time believing that simply by allowing us to dictate what we think should happen, that's going to make it easier for the tool to comprehend what we're saying. That's not to say it won't happen. Maybe it will, and I hope it does. But when we're talking about complex flows, whatever that actually means, I mean, I've seen some pretty insane complex flows before. I can't imagine having a quick session to be like, here's what I need you to do, blah, 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 and it can comprehend all of that and all of the dependencies and branches and variables and choices or whatever that needs to happen. So to me, that's a lot. I'm really curious to see this. I think it'll definitely be useful. It's the complex workflows piece that jumps out at me. So March 2025, it's already out there in preview, and then May of 2025. So that's a pretty short runway. They're obviously making headway on that. So thoughts on any of those?
I think as long as we speak in prompt dialect, it'll all work fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think this goes along with your first tip, right? Because it's
Very
as
cool.
I'm recording, I can talk. So it makes sense that you could be providing additional context to things that you're showing. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I have a hard time explaining things in a way that Copilot would understand. Maybe a person could understand as I'm spinning my mouse around, but I feel like it'd be hard for Copilot. But we'll see.
Sometimes I say stuff out loud and then I look at myself and say, what are you doing? And so we'll see what happens.
That's great.
Cool. So I grabbed a few things from the Copilot section. I wanted to call these ones out because a few of these we've talked about a few times, but we're still seeing them in the release notes. So first, generating the flow description using AI. So it's going to be able to look at your flow and analyze and generate that description of what's happening in that flow. So I think the idea here, right, is your team will be better be able to know what these flows are doing and all of that. But of course you need to verify that and make sure that it is accurate. This has actually been in public preview for a year, since April of last year, and is generally available coming up in April. Not checked off yet, but I assume it's part of the release wave, even though April is coming to an end right about now. We also have the generative answers. This is one we've talked about for a while as well. So this has been in public preview since November of 2023, also set to be GA in April of 2025. But this is allowing you to ask product-related questions using natural language. So as you're working on your flow, checking with, how should I do this? What features am I allowed to do? Things like that. The goal is to keep you all within the flow designer instead of needing to go out and use, a search engine or whatever to find additional information. So hopefully that's GA soon. And then the other one I wanted to call out is around getting a flow summary. This is coming further out. So public preview isn't until September, but the idea is to build documentation with Copilot for your flow. So some kind of auto-generated summary and just creating this documentation for members who might not have access to the flow or who might not know how to read the flow definition. So no real details on what that's going to look like yet, but I think this could be really helpful for saving copies of our flows, saving details of what we've already worked on, and making sure our team is aware of things there. Lots more features in the Copilot section, but those are a few that I wanted to call out. What do you guys think?
I really like the flow summary from Copilot because I don't know about you, but I'm not always the best at documenting my flows. I have good intentions. In fact, when I'm building my flows, I have notes along the way so people know what I'm doing within the flow. But if you don't have the flow open, you're not going to see that. You're not going to know what's going on. So I tend to not have great documentation outside of the specific flow steps. So something like this would help me quite a bit.
Is it also a summary of what's happened with the flow over time to help analyze failures and things and what might be going wrong. Was that part of it, or
Highly
was it
doubt
like,
it.
pardon?
That is
That-
housed in a very different spot.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
not in this feature definition. It just
No? Okay.
says documentation for members. There is another
I thought I saw
item
another one.
for, use Copilot to analyze automation activity.
That's the one.
Yeah, so you'll be able to talk to Copilot in natural language about past flow runs and that data. So it doesn't look like it, it doesn't look like it builds a report, but you can ask for details out of reports that are already happening.
Yeah, that was the one. Okay, so I was combining the two of them because I had scanned through these ones. I think that's an honorable mention. And it too has been around. So you mentioned one of these was started in 2023. And
Yep.
so that one, and that's a huge one of the concept of flow monitoring and what's happening over time is a thing we hear a lot. And so I think that's a beneficial feature as well.
Yeah,
Is there anything
sure.
about flow troubleshooting? Because that would be great. Because when my flow doesn't fire, it gives me
Just
like a data code that then I copy and then I paste in the Microsoft documentation and troubleshoot it that way.
Just ask
That would be
Copilot.
a cool use.
There is another troubleshoot Copilot in Cloud Flow Designer. Wait, troubleshoot Copilot or troubleshoot Power Automate? Copilot
another
now
written by-
contains capability to provide remediation guidance for flow errors and offer to fix them for you. So that is showing public preview April 2025, but not out yet. And it's currently showing generally available in June of 2025. So this will be a troubleshooting Copilot to help you with your errors in Power Automate. So lots of cool things coming up.
Mhm.
Excellent.
I think I have one more slide, which is about process automation, which I did call out earlier is not something I have a lot of experience in, but looking to learn more about. And I realize now I tried to make this slide look better, and it made it worse. It's black on, doesn't matter. So we can help with our process mining within the web client. We can work on improving the. I'm all discombobulated. So we are going to be able to use the process mining and then use the results, view them all within the web interface. So instead of needing to go to Power BI, you can use it within an interactive dashboard, full range of KPIs to view, and all dynamically recalculated based on your filters. And so just lots, like we've been talking about, lots of improvements in the process mining, lots of other features that we don't have time to talk about, but encourage you guys to look at that and see that the value that process mining can bring to your organization. That is currently in public preview and is supposed to be becoming generally available in May of this year.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's all that we have for you guys today. Thank you for joining us for Power Tips. I hope that you have a wonderful day and that you review the release notes and let us know down in the comments what else you want to hear about. Thanks.